Welcome to the Property People Show. Welcome back. Thank you very much for engaging. Like and touch the like button and subscribe to this channel. Today, I take the opportunity to introduce YVA Solicitors. Today, we've got Jonathan Bishop and Dolores at YVA Solicitors based up in North Finchley. I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to bring one of the main important partners when you're starting your property journey. So let me take the opportunity and introduce you, Jonathan Bishop and Dolores from YVA Solicitors. And Jonathan, do you want to take the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell me what your role is at YVA?
Yeah, thank you, Chan. I'm a partner at YVA Solicitors. I've been a partner since April 2016. I started at the firm in October 2010, and I specialise in both residential and commercial property.
Brilliant, fantastic. Dolores, you're one of the young guns coming up the rankings. So first of all, let me take the opportunity to congratulate you. You qualified recently, got your qualification, and you're a fully qualified conveyancer now. Is that right?
That's right. Thanks, Chan. I initially started at the firm in September 2021. I have been working here throughout my whole career at the moment. Okay. Recently qualified after being under the supervision of Jonathan. We've done so many great transactions together. It's broadened my knowledge of the law and helped me to develop into the solicitor I now am.
Good. So I've worked with YVA for 13 plus years. I think you just joined the firm when we built our relationships. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to know who are the Y and who's the V and who's the A in YVA Solicitors? And are they still involved in the business today now?
I'm probably best placed to answer that one. It goes back to the original merging of the firms. There's three firms I recall that merged. There was Paul Yannicus and Co. He's one of the former partners. Funny enough, he's Chris Yannicus' father. There was the V, which is Michael Votsis, and he had his firm in Haringey. And there was also Mr. Akalea. So the Y is Yannicus, the V is Mr. Votsis, and the A is Mr. Akalea.
Fantastic.
So they were the original partners. Chris Yannicus and Michael Votsis then continued the partnership, and I think Mr. Akalea departed before I joined the firm. And nowadays, with the number of partners we've got and those involved, it's now just YVA, and the name stuck. It doesn't really reflect the Yannicus Votsis Akalea of the past. It's just YVA.
Yeah, it's quite a few partners now. It really has grown over the last few years. And is there a reason why that? Is it we're trying to get a bigger market share, or you want to start specializing in things?
It's been a case of acknowledging individuals within the firm, their contributions, how they've grown themselves in the firm, how they've grown a department, sacrifices that have been made by the individuals to overall grow the firm as a whole. And as you correctly pointed out, we have grown in the number of partners over the years, and we're now at a total of 8 partners.
Yeah, and it's a specialist team. I mean, I've had encounters with a number of them, and from where I can remember when they first joined as conveyancers or trainee solicitors to now taking in kind of leadership roles and partnership roles, and how pivotal it's been to the business, and the experience and knowledge they come along with. So you guys, in terms of YVA, so what do you guys specialize in? So I know in my involvement with you guys tends to be very much residential and commercial transaction. Is there other aspects of the legal system that you guys cater for, such as lease, extension, family law?
Yes. Cover a number of areas of law. Like I said, the main one's real estate. So we do a lot of residential real estate, commercial real estate, refinance work, bridging work. We act for a number of lenders as well. But in addition to the conveyancing and real estate department, we do have a litigation department, which we've got 3 qualified solicitors. So that's grown over the last few years. We've got a landlord and tenant department that specialises in lease extensions, collective enfranchisement, where a group of leaseholders would come together collectively and purchase a freehold. We've got also a family law department, sort of private clients, where we can assist clients with wills, trusts, probates, matrimonial matters, and also more recently we've really started to push the importance of a power of attorney, especially a lasting power of attorney.
Nice, good. And you guys operate from 2 offices, right? So you've got an office in North London, in North Finchley, and you've got an office in Mayfair.
That's right, yes. So we've got the head office in North Finchley, just above the Starbucks, and we've also got an office in Mayfair where we'll have at least one person there every day.
Lovely. All right, so look, thank you very much for taking the opportunity to introduce. I wanted to just kick off in terms of my particular relationship with Jonathan Bishop and YVA in terms of how it started. So when I was moved away from my corporate role and set up my own business, I had contacts with a few conveyancers, tested them out, and then realized that basically what I needed as a business was someone really sharp in terms of what they would need, what they knew, very customer centric, because that was the way that I built my business up. Tested a few conveyances up in Harrow, and I think it was Edgware and stuff like that, and it just didn't feel right. And I just went around the houses looking for a local firm where I could build up a relationship, and just randomly just called up YVA and said, look, I want to work with someone, I want to build up a relationship, this is who I want. And I think JB just rang me out the cuff, and I think you just literally joined that time as well in 2011, 2012, just as we came out of COVID. And then I think we kind of had a chat in terms of what I was looking for.
It was 2019.
Sorry, sorry, not COVID. Apologies, not COVID, but the financial crisis.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just come out the financial crisis time. You just joined up the firm at that time as well, and then we spoke, and I kind of told you what I was looking for, and it really kicked off. And I think I felt something straight away with the relationship. Really felt really comfortable, and for me, it's like, you know, building that relationship was like having that another partner on the firm where I could really feel comfortable handing my clients over to another individual, especially when you're dealing with property, which is like the biggest asset. And we just joined, and then, you know, 13 years on, it's like having JB in our office. That's the relationship that I have, and my clients are completely bought into you as an individual in your firm. We have a great partnership working relationship. But yeah, if you just tell me in terms of your journey, how, because your background, you worked with your uncle,
I
right?
did.
Previously.
I worked with my uncle. I joined him, it's about 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Didn't have a full direction of where I wanted to go with my career, so he offered me an opportunity, and he was based in Finchley Central. He'd been there over 30 years in practice, been between sole practitioner and in a partnership, and had a well-established firm. He was known in the local area. So he took me under his wing, gave me an education in property. I found out what conveyancing was, and as we discovered doing these podcasts and social media posts to try and assist people, you discover not a lot of people know what conveyancing is, let alone they need a solicitor to do conveyancing.
Agree.
So he's helped me out with that, gave me a direction, and taught me how conveyancing works and how residential property, as I started out then, would flow through a transaction. And as part of that training, he established one of the fundamental rules from the start is how important it is to nurture relationships, whether that relationships with your client or with someone like yourself who we have a working relationship with. So it's, from the start, it's been of high importance to me to maintain relationships alongside assisting your client, providing a service to them, and helping them with what is one of the most stressful times in their life when you buy and sell houses.
Definitely. And I think that was quite a small firm. It was just your uncle at that time, was it? Was there any other partners involved?
It was when the firm closed because he retired in 2010. Prior to that, there was always one or two partners involved.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when you made your switch, when you closed the firm down and retired and joined at YVA then?
That's right, yes. He had a relationship with one or two of the partners at YVA and made the introduction. And I went along for a talk with them in, I think it was September 2010, trying to roll back the years, and explained to them what I did. And it was I think to them at the time, it was a different way of how conveyancing was done.
Mm-hmm.
And I came on board and introduced my methods and relationships. There was a few other young lawyers at the time as well. And we sort of all grew together, and we'd all qualified around about similar times, and sort of took to the firm at that point and pushed on in the property and real estate department with that growth with clients and relationships. It's sort of taken off from there.
What a journey. What a journey.
Yeah.
So to start off on a personal note, Dolores, is what drew you into conveyancing, and how did you end up in YVA?
So, funny enough, it was around 2016 when I had to go on work experience, and I was trying to figure out what path I wanted to go down. I've always been someone who, once you've figured out what path you want to go down, I'm going to stick to it and see it out through the end. So in 2016, my parents have been clients of the firm for years. So my dad arranged for me to come to YVA for work experience. I enjoyed it the first time, so I actually came back again in 2018, and then again in 2021 for work experience. And I think by the end of it, they had enough of me, so they just offered me the job.
Fantastic. So it was based on family relationship
That's right,
and
yeah.
family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was it the money that drew you into conveyancing, or was it a lifestyle?
I've always wanted to be a solicitor.
Okay.
And the money's an additional bonus. The harder you work, money will just follow in the future. So I've never been too concerned about making as much money as possible for the time being. I just wanted to be the best solicitor I could be at the time. And now I'm a newly qualified solicitor, so it's about just taking my time, making sure all the transactions are done correctly and the clients are happy at the end of the day. That's the most important thing.
And in terms of reality,
Yeah.
what you experience now on a day-to-day basis is what you were expecting when you first came in, or what's your learns been as you've come into the industry and been a real wake-up call and actually,
Well, it's been a big difference from when I was a trainee and now I'm qualified. When I was covering for Jonathan when he was on annual leave as a trainee, you could see the pressure that every solicitor will be under. Everyone chasing for an update, everyone making sure that the transactions are progressing all in the right times. And myself now, I've just got back from annual leave as well. And you realise how many emails you have to deal with every single day. So it is a lifestyle that you need to take into consideration before making that plunge. Because when you're on annual leave, you'll still need to sit down every day and go through your emails.
yeah, it's demanding. I mean, I'm in debt with Jonathan for a couple of holidays. Every time he's on holiday, I tend to ruin them whilst I'm in the middle of a transaction. But again, he never lets me down. He's available when it's something urgent. Of course, we don't want to disturb him whilst he's there. But I know, like, with the way you guys operate, that relationship that you fostered is like every transaction is personal.
That's right, yes.
And you really are there when you need to kind of connect. Now that then takes me on to, it's like, how do you manage that? So your morning rituals, like, Jonathan, like I was saying to you, we have a little giggle about it. My clients fancy him. He's like the Calvin Klein of YVA, yeah? Who does he remind me of? That Christian Bell, the American psycho that wakes up in the morning and he's got this ritual there as well,
I don't do 1,000 crunches in the morning, but...
How do you do it? Yeah, how do you do it? How do you get that balance right? And, especially in the world that we live in, it's really stressful. There's high expectations.
Yeah.
There's friends, your partners at work, your clients, your children, your wife. You don't want to let anyone down. You're spinning all these plates, and then at the same time, you've got to look after yourself and your well-being. And you guys are at the top of your game. And how do you keep maintaining that and keeping yourself right at the top all the time?
I think it's a mixture of setting boundaries and having a routine. And you've got to know how to delegate and run your working day and allow yourself enough time. And this sort of goes back to where I was starting out my career and working with my uncle. My uncle would be up at 4:30 in the morning. He'd be in his office in Finchley Central at 5:30. And this is before the times of emails and phones and working remotely on mobile phones. You were in the office at your desk. You'd have incoming post daily. And he'd be there 13, 14 hours a day. So one of the key ways to manage that was to allocate your time. And what I tend to do is I'm up very early. I'm in the office early. You set time throughout the day to deal with different parts. Because once 9:30 hits, your clients want to speak to you on the telephone. Emails are going to start coming in through the day. That's the time you need to allocate for your clients. So I would normally allocate early morning up until that point to go through all my paperwork, deal with urgent matters, set myself up for the day, and then go through the day dealing with the clients, the solicitors. If we need to do exchanges, completions, there's your allocated time. And then you get to the end of the day, you finish off anything else. You don't leave your office with a full desk or a full inbox. Then you can allocate yourself your own time for home time. And that's going to be family time, looking after your own mental health, your physical health. And I found having that sort of routine has kept me in check throughout the years of my career.
Yeah, you're doing well. I mean, my clients to say, yeah, Jonathan's amazing. He emails at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock. And I was like, he does. And it works for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets you your desk, or you're on top of your game. And I mean, we've had calls in the morning where you're doing school runs with the kids and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it's giving you a nice balance, and it's been working out really well for yourself. But yeah, I mean, Christian Bell and JB, that's where we are. So
Technology's helped, I think, over the last 5 or 6 years, especially.
yeah.
To be able to do that. And when you've got young children as well, you don't want to miss out on those precious years of their life. So it's important to be there, but obviously you have your responsibility of your job and your clients that you need to make sure you're servicing and looking after as well.
Yeah. And Dolores, what have you taken away? We're coming from the outside and now coming into this industry, and as you're building up your own clients and your workloads increases, is there any tips that you've taken away, seeing the partners in terms of how they manage their time? Have you changed your routine in terms of how you manage your morning routines and your daily lifestyle?
So I've actually taken a lot from Jonathan on this one. When he used to pick me up in the morning to go to Mayfair at 6 o'clock in the morning,
I'm a lion.
I've never been a morning person. I'm always someone who likes to stay later rather than wake up early. But you do realise how much you get done in the morning when you've got no distractions. Everyone's still asleep. You can get all your emails out of the way. You can start your reports early. And then, like Jonathan said, you can have that period between 9:30 and 12 to deal with your clients' needs, speak to them on the phone, reassure them about their transactions, and proceed the transactions to exchanges and completions. So I think Jonathan hit the nail on the head with that one, and it's just about allocating my time correctly.
Good. You know what? I want to focus the next question to yourself, Dolores, because I think it's your generation that will be able to kind of show us or kind of educate us through the next path of technology in the legal system. Just echoing back from what Jonathan was saying when he joined his uncle's firm, and the way he saw his uncle working from kind of taking notes down the phone, faxes, that sort of stuff there. And we've seen those time change where there's like, AI coming into systems, telephone systems have changed, WhatsApp, text messages, all of that kind of stuff. What do you want to see, or what can you see in the technology world changing the pathway of conveyancing moving forward?
I do think, as good as technology is in how much it's advanced, I think there's a massive risk at the moment, especially with AI. Now, for me personally, I don't want to, at the moment, trust the process of AI, only because it will make a solicitor become lazy. And everything I've learned about YVA is that you go through everything thoroughly by yourself, not to rely on a computer to go through the inquiries, because you will never know what it may miss. And there are personal touches which a computer may not kind of understand, which we would.
Yeah.
So that's one of the kind of fears I have with AI. But on the other hand, it will help increase the process or increase the speed of the process, which is mainly what the majority of the clients want.
People think it's like, as conveyancers that you've got these big books and you're just going through law and
Used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've walked into your boardroom, so I've seen the whole collection there as well. But it's a lot more deeper than that, just going through text and law and trying to connect the dots up as well. It's actually people involved. Yeah, and I think technology can change that.
It's a people business, ain't you? Right. Dolores sort of touched on it and kind of hit the nail on the head. You can have AI, but you've got to be careful how much you allow it or implement it into a conveyancing transaction. Can it be useful? Yes. It can help with streamlining a transaction, I believe. But can it replace a lawyer? I'd say no. And one of the key reasons for that, forget the checking and the legal knowledge, that can be done. A lawyer can have the legal knowledge. A computer, I suppose, can have the database. What a computer doesn't have is the personal touch and the ability to manage clients' expectations, answer their questions. It's a stressful time. I could never see a client picking up a phone to a computer and asking them for reassurance when they're trying to find out why their transaction is not exchanging contracts or what's happening with the completion. It's something a computer, I think, will never be able to do.
No, I agree. I think it's really important to know that when people are choosing firms as well, so, sidestepping away, it's not just the technology. I sometimes get clients that wanted to do remortgages, and a lot of lenders are saying, use the free conveyancer. It saves you a few quid. One thing I've learned by doing what I've been doing for a long term is what you pay for is what you get. Yeah, if you want someone on the other side to pick up that phone, give you that assurance, to guide you, answer those questions, that they've got your back. Where I find that a lot of these firms that offer those free services, it's like a sausage factory, and you're just a number, and things get missed out, or it doesn't get basically done on time, and then actually overall commercially it's not feasible. So I think sometimes you've got to look at the bigger picture. It's property is the biggest asset that you're buying. Yeah. And it has an emotional attachment depending on what type of transaction. But typically, if you're buying a property for your home, then it's going to be your house for you and your family to grow and to write these stories and stuff. So you want to show that whatever plans that you have with that property, all the boxes are ticked. You know what you're getting yourself into. Where these sausage factories that just push out transactions, you don't get that.
That's right.
Yeah, and you get frustration, and then it basically has a knock-on effect in the whole transaction, and you're letting people down. Where having that personal touch, it makes such a huge difference. We've worked with YVA for a number of years, and sometimes our clients even say, do you guys have shares in it? And what do you mean? He goes, why do you always guys want to refer everything to YVA? Because I know you guys will look after him. I trust you with them, and it's that triangle relationship. We as advisors, you as professionals in your side, and then our clients, and that's just a beautiful working relationship, and we get fantastic results, and that's how we retain clients over a long term at the end of the day. One thing I would like to know is as first time buyers and sellers, they can kind of feel quite nervous going into a transaction. What top advice could you give them in terms of navigating through that transaction when they first instruct a conveyancer?
Ooh, that's a good question. We did produce some information sheets as well to help clients on certain types of transaction, including conveyancing. So we sort of set out the key stages of a conveyancing transaction so they can see what's involved. Common question a client will ask is, how long is it going to take?
Yep.
And it's a tricky question to answer or give an answer to. It's one of those scenarios where anything could affect a transaction. It depends on the type of transaction, for example, and you could say, okay, I've got a freehold sale. How long is it going to take to exchange? And I'd say to a client, normally, once you've instructed me, once I've had confirmation of instructions from the other solicitor who's acting for the other party, contract papers are all issued. If everything runs nice and smoothly, we could exchange in 3 to 4 weeks. Now, on the flip side of that, there could be a chain involved. There could be problems with the title. There could be delays with searches, delays with surveys, problems getting a mortgage. There's so many variables, and delivering that message to the client to give them an indication on how a transaction runs and how long it's going to take, it's quite a hard question to answer. So we try and deliver that in a way where I sort of understand what's involved, the stages, but also, look, there are certain factors out of our control that could affect that timescale. So we try and manage expectations that way. We're not in the habit of over-promising and under-delivering. We'd rather be straight up with our clients and give them a fair and reasonable estimate timeline or timescale for their transaction, and then over-deliver on that timescale.
Good. Allows you to be really, really prepared and giving them the right tools. I'd be interested to know as well, dealing with all the different types of transaction you guys get involved in. You must guys have some interesting stories to tell us when things have gone wrong and how you've come along and kind of really saved clients and stuff as well. I know we've had some stories where I've been involved in transactions and I'm being really pushing, and there's some emotions going in there. I want the transaction to go ahead, and then Jonathan comes along with his skills and professions like, no, you can't do it. And then actually when we've taken layers off, realize exactly why you're there, because if we didn't follow those, it could have been a complete mess. But it'd be interesting to know if there's any stories where, you can tell us about how you've been involved and how you saved a client from it really going wrong.
I think Dolores has got a good story here, actually. He's recently saved a client, so I'll let him tell the
Yeah.
story, but on that new build transaction where the client was purchasing and their previous solicitor couldn't act,
That's
and
right.
you had a notice to complete.
Yes, so it's happened once or twice now, actually. A client had previously exchanged with their solicitors on a new build transaction where the previous solicitors were not on the panel of the lender, sorry. Now, they got served notice to complete, so they had to complete within 10 working days. We received the instruction pack 2 or 3 days into the notice to complete and managed to complete in time. So that was one tricky transaction, because you need to ensure that you go through all the legal documents, because you want to proof check everything that the previous solicitor has done, because we're not a firm who rely on other firms' legal advice. We'd like to do our own due diligence, raise our own inquiries, and make sure that the clients and the lender are both, their security are both protected.
And how do you during that difficult time, you've got this buyer buying their first home, new build, all getting excited about moving in, most probably worrying about what colour sofas they've got in, and then all of a sudden they've got to now complete, and they have no idea what this journey looks like. And how do you communicate with your clients and give them that comfort and assurance that they're in safe hands?
So what I tend to do anyway, throughout all my transactions, is I always have a telephone conversation with the client, just to kind of, especially if they're first-time buyers, to run them through the process, tell them roughly what the timeframes are going to be, refer them to our client care letter, which tends to state between 6 to 8 weeks, or 8 to 12 weeks if it's leasehold or new build. So they're kind of reassured at the start that we're on the same wavelength. So that's pretty much the start of the journey for them.
It's that clear line of communication. When they feel unstable, they know they can write to you guys. You can ring up the firm, and that's one thing which I really pleasantly enjoy about working with YVA, is that my experience with other firms is you ring and you don't get acknowledgements, you don't get replies back, and
right.
with you guys and the YVA team is you're there on the phone call. I know we appreciate sometimes we expect phone calls before I've even put the phone down, but and sometimes you do end up getting that call before the phone handset comes down as well. With all that stress and dealing with all these problems and stuff, how do you keep yourself motivated and keeping yourself at the top of your game, knowing that there's all these expectations? There must be days where you just feel like completely drained and like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? There's got to be better things out there than this. But what keeps you guys going, and what keeps you there motivated?
It's the passion, the enjoyment for the job. You're in this job because you love it. You enjoy it. You enjoy dealing with different people. For me, I love dealing with different people. I love the challenge that comes with different properties, and how you get a lot of properties can be the same. You can have your standard freehold and leaseholds, but you get interesting transactions as well where there's a little bit more involved, and you've just got to find that little avenue for your client, or a little niche area where it's a good deal for them if you're dealing with a developer, and you can find a way to solve a problem that comes up. And we get various title problems might come up if there's an old lease, for example, that's defective. We've got to find a solution to that, and it's the enjoyment you get from the challenge. And at the end of a transaction, you see how satisfied your client is because you made a deal happen for them. If it's them moving into their dream home, or if it's a developer securing a great deal for them. It's that enjoyment and satisfaction you get from seeing other clients happy and the outcome of it.
It's that time of self-reflection, isn't it?
Yeah.
You sit there and take it back, and you do these transactions. What are these transactions in your careers taught you about you as individuals and your characters?
There's always a way.
Yeah.
There's always a way. Dolores is early in his career, but where I am in mine, each time you just grow as a person, and you get mentally stronger. You can push yourself, and it's pushing yourself to the next level, and that's how you grow within the conveyancing world.
That's true.
Finding that next level.
So you got to get into that gym. Brilliant, fantastic. No, I think it's. I think we spoke about it in our previous podcast. It's about resilient, I'm a firm believer as well. You know, there's always a solution. It's not about curling up and, you know, giving up. It's about, you know, standing up and facing it head on, and really trying to find a answer to it, because there's always an answer. Yeah, and leaning on people and leaning on partners who've got experiences, and collectively as a team or a group, you're able to carve a way forward. It takes me onto it. It's like, let's dream a little bit. I know you've just started your career at YVA.
Yeah.
So my next question is more towards Jonathan, is if you took a career break from YVA in the life of a conveyancer, what would you be doing?
That's a big if.
This is a man that's just gone to, where's it? Vegas. You've come back from skiing,
Yes.
and you're basically running the firm and all your clients and stuff. Can you even imagine life without YVA and you being a conveyancer? What would it look like?
No,
what would you be doing?
I mean, I could describe it as either a second wife, that my main wife wouldn't be too happy with that. Or it's like another child, but it's a massive part of my life. It's very personal to me. So just like your wife or your children, you couldn't imagine life without it. So at the minute, I couldn't envisage a career break. I mean, if I was to take a career break, I couldn't see myself going into any other form of work. I think it would be purely to spend it with my family.
Good. And finally, before we call it a wrap, I think it'll be wrong of me not to ask this question, but what advice can you give Dolores in terms of him having a successful career in conveyancing and filling your boots? Big boots.
I think he's got the capability to fill even bigger boots.
Yeah.
Keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's got a great team around him. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the other solicitors and partners in YVA. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep looking after your clients. Keep managing your relationships. Take challenges head on and put the work in, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's true. And I think in terms of going into the property industry or the property aspect of conveyancing, I think it's one of those sectors that it's still got life, and it's got loads of life to it. And I think there's fantastic times to come. And I think that the property in general is just a huge array of transactions dealing with your standard purchases all the way to commercial and stuff like that as well. And I think you'll be fantastic at what you do. We look forward to working with you. I think you'll be really successful. So I wanted to just take the opportunity both to thank you for coming on this podcast. We look forward to working with you guys as well. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Jan.
you for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in with the Property People. Hopefully it's been inspiring, motivational, and allow you to basically connect people in the property industry. Subscribe to our channel, share the link, leave comments about who you want to see, what you want to hear. The more people that subscribe, the more people we can bring onto this channel to motivate you on your journey in the property industry.